And 3, 2, 1, and we are live. Hello, welcome everybody to today's webinar. We are talking today with 360 Learning. We're talking about upskilling from within. How do we create a workforce for the future? We're going to get started in a couple of minutes, just allowing people to join. If it's maybe the start of your day, good morning to you. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon here at Powtoon Towers here in London, England, one of our European HQs. I believe that would make it 10 o'clock in the morning, East Coast USA. So good morning to you. Even earlier, 7 a.m. I think that would make it Pacific time. Very good morning for you, to you. Perhaps you're in Central Europe, getting on towards the end of your day. Hope you've had a fantastic day. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes time, just allowing people to join in. No matter where you are in the world, I hope you are staying safe and enjoying your day so far. Lots of people joining. Just want to let everybody know that this webinar is being recorded. You'll get a copy of the webinar in about 24 to 48 hours time. So if you do have to drop off early, no problem at all. As you are joining, one of the things we love to do at Powtoon here is to learn a little bit about you, our amazing audience. Let us know your name in the chat box even, and where it is in the world you're joining us from, and we'll be giving you a shout out. So yeah, feel free to drop your name in and where it is you're joining us from. It'll be very, very interesting to see that. We're going to get started in about 1 minute's time. We've got Patrick from Cleveland, Ohio. Good morning to you, Patrick. Oh, wow, I can't keep up with these. Francesca from Michigan, good morning. Joanne from Jacksonville. Leanne from sunny Barbados. Oh, it's beautiful. I've been there. Rachel from Cork Island. My father was born there. Freeland, Michigan is where Heather is joining us from this morning. We've got Jodine joining us from Toronto. Good morning to you, Jodine. We're going to be getting started a little bit very soon. We've got Dominique joining us from Manchester, UK, where I'm from, actually. Andrew from Kent, Lauren from joining us from Lyon. Bonjour to you, Lauren. I hope you're doing very, very well indeed. Eileen from Cork in Ireland. Got a lot of people from Ireland joining us today. You are very, very welcome. Conas Tortu, I would say, if you speak Gaelic, which is the language in Ireland. Evelyn from Costa Rica, Danielle from Manchester, April from Memphis. Good morning to, or good afternoon, of course, to you all. We're going to get started right away. Okay. So here we go. Let's get started with the webinar. So here we go. So I'd like to do a little bit of introduction. For those of you who've seen our webinars before, you might know me. It might be your first time. My name is Daniel Nathan. I'm the Head of Customer Success here at Powtoon, and I am beyond delighted to welcome Maria van Thienen, who is the Head of Global Sales Enablement at 360 Learning. Maria, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Dan. Thank you so much for the intro. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very excited to be here to discuss this really important topic with you today.
Absolutely. And we're really, really glad you could be with us today. And it would be great, Maria, if you could get started by just telling us a little bit about 360 Learning and the work that you guys are doing.
Sure thing. Happy to do so. So 360 Learning is the very first LMS created specifically for collaborative learning. And in short, what we do is enable companies to upskill from within by turning experts into champions for employee growth.
Fantastic. So there we go, guys. If you're looking to develop and upskill your employees to harness both their future growth and the growth of your organization, then you definitely come to the right place. Maria, what are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about why in-house experts are key to driving business growth, how to upskill at every stage of the employee journey through peer learning, and how to use video to train hybrid employees.
Sounds good. So let's get on and cover that first topic that you wanted to talk about, why in-house experts are key to driving business growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the first topic for today. Actually, before we get started, we wanted to do a quick poll. So everyone should see the poll popping up in your screens. And the questions that we have for you all today is, who is creating content in your organization? So is it just the L&D team who is working on that content? Or is it the L&D team working alongside your business managers? Is it the L&D team working with subject matter experts? Or can anyone create learning content within your organization? So go ahead and take a second and submit your answer by choosing one of those 4 options.
And we can see a lot of, we're going to show the results very shortly. Just give it a few more seconds, guys. If you haven't managed to answer this poll yet, a few more seconds, just put your answer in, and we will have a quick look at the answers. Here we go. So it should be on your screen now. It looks like the majority of people who are creating training content is the L&D team working together with subject matter experts. Any comments there, Maria?
No, I think that's great. That's definitely the direction that we want to go in. So it's great to see that almost 50% of you all are already doing that. It's great. It means that we're going to have some great Q&A at the end.
Absolutely. Oh, that's a point, actually. Forgot to mention at the beginning. Guys, if you have any questions, do please pop them into the questions box, and we'll definitely leave some time to dedicate to answering those at the end. We'll get through as many as we can. Okay, so let's get on with talking about that first topic. Let's
do it. Yeah, let's jump into the topic of today and talk about why it's critical to leverage in-house experts. So traditionally, L&D teams have mapped out skills with 3 to 5 years of anticipation. So getting ready quite in advance for what kind of skills their employees are going to need in the future. And the problem with this is that today, the optimal mix of skills that are required for different roles are actually changing every 6 to 12 months. The only way to ensure that employees have the right skill set at this speed of change is by leveraging collective subject matter expertise. You could think that hiring external experts or buying off-the-shelf content is also a way to do this. And absolutely, external support can be invaluable in the right circumstances, but it's actually not sufficient in upskilling within a company's own context. With 6 to 12 months of upskilling timeline, it can be very quickly unmanageable in terms of time and financial resources. You could also think that maybe it's the L&D team who should be providing that training to upskill employees, but in reality, you'd need a very large team of L&D experts to be able to support that. And you wouldn't necessarily be able to get 100% content relevance, since L&D managers are experts in learning and development, but they're not necessarily experts in each skill required for every function. On the flip side, in-house experts are exactly that. They're in-house and they're experts. So it's the best of both worlds. They can help create training courses and teach colleagues what they know, which will always necessarily be extremely relevant to the role, but also to the company and its context. So this is a key business growth driver, but something important to note is that it takes a shift in mindset. Traditionally, organizations, as we know, have adopted a top-down approach, but this tends to be a little bit too centralized. And what I mean by that is that it means leaders alone are dictating the training calendar and training topics, which inevitably results in low engagement and slow upskilling. So the shift to collaborative learning involves experts and learners shaping training rather than just leaders. The result of this is, of course, higher engagement and fast, continuous upskilling for the jobs of today, but also tomorrow.
Absolutely. I just wanted to make a point there, Marie. I really like the point you made actually about the key driver in business growth is taking that mindset shift, right, from the traditional L&D departments being solely responsible for creating material. And as you rightly pointed out, they may not be the SMEs, the subject matter expert. And I think the shift of mindset is critical and absolutely crucial to, as you say, future growth. I call it peer-to-peer learning, right, where colleagues, peers are contributing to that training content because often it makes that training content more credible. It makes it more real, rather than being created top down from a L&D professional perspective. So I really like that point.
Yeah, absolutely. The credibility is very important and the relevance is critical, absolutely critical. As we all know today, skills are a bottleneck for innovation. And as an extension of that, a bottleneck for driving growth. A culture of upskilling from within and using in-house experts for pure learning, like you said, helps overcome that barrier and reduce skilled labor shortages to ensure you can upskill and thus drive growth. So how do you upskill at every stage of the employee journey through peer learning? Let's talk about that. To start with, it's really important to understand that defining opportunities to create upskilling programs at every stage of the employee journey is critical to performance and engagement. So at 360, we conducted a survey and we asked participants, one, how satisfied were you with the onboarding process that you received when you arrived at your company? And two, what could have been improved about your onboarding process? And if you all can see on the bottom right there, we can see that 38% of respondents said that training should have been more specific to their particular function. It's no surprise, new joiners want onboarding that's going to help them get started in the day-to-day of their job. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record, the only way to achieve this is by leveraging in-house experts. If you're going to be a project manager, you should be learning from your company's project managers. If you're going to be a software engineer, you should be learning from your company's software engineers. And if you're going to be an accountant, you should be learning from your peer accountants. It really makes no sense to expect the L&D department to be fully responsible for the entire onboarding of project managers, software engineers, accountants. They just don't have the full expertise. And it's unrealistic and really unsustainable to expect them to do so. Today, this is what happens at most companies, unfortunately, and this is why we're seeing this 38% here on this slide.
Brilliant point. And if I just may add here, guys, the importance of this survey that they carried out here is, if you think about it, the most important stage, if you like, of any employee journey, in my opinion, and I think an opinion that's shared, is the onboarding, right? So if you get the onboarding wrong, it really sets a dangerous precedent for the, for the future career, if you like, of your new onboard, your new employee, and potentially the future growth of the company. So having as Maria said here, having onboarding process or onboarding content, right, training content, to be too generic, too general, and not specific enough for the role is key. And it can be key to a successful onboarding, it can be key to employee retention, and of course, business growth. And as Maria rightly pointed out, one way that can be fixed is more peer-to-peer learning, more sort of bottom-up training content production rather than top-down. So really, really great slide there. It gives us great context, Maria.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely cannot emphasize enough the importance of onboarding. But of course, the importance of upskilling doesn't stop there. Again, it's important that the upskilling happens at every stage of the employee journey, whether it's onboarding, changing roles, getting promoted, or even exiting the company. A lot of the need for support, training, upskilling comes actually during these transition moments. This is where people are faced with the most challenges, the most uncertainty, and have the greatest need for that upskilling. So collaborative learning implies a shift from punctual top-down training to continuous reskilling based on peer-driven learning content. So that, again, is a shift that's happening. It means proactively offering learning opportunities so that they are available at the moment of need and not at a random punctual moment in time. Upskilling from within, rather than looking to external providers, helps people improve their performance, but also helps them prepare for the next step in their employee journey. So some examples that we see here on the slide are: before employees join, they need to learn about the company's culture, get ready for their first day. Then during onboarding, they need to learn about company values, the organizational structure, products. Then they prepare for role pivots and promotions. They need mentorship. They need leadership development. They need to upskill on the new responsibilities that they're going to be owning in new roles. And the last one that we see here is exit, which is really not talked about a lot when it comes to upskilling, but it's actually one of the main concerns organizations have, especially today. When people leave, they take their expertise with them, and this is a big problem. So engaging subject matter experts to not just consume, but also create learning content throughout their journey ensures that knowledge stays within the organization regardless of turnover. So on this slide, a few key elements of upskilling. The first we've talked about at length, identifying who experts are and leveraging those in-house experts. But also it's important to identify how you're going to engage them, how you're going to help them share their expertise, how you're going to identify the most important learning needs within the organization. And then once you have those needs and those experts, how do you work with them to turn that knowledge into courses fast, while maintaining a high level of quality. So that's always kind of a trade-off that we see as well, the speed and the quality. And then finally, how do we do all this while reducing the amount of work rather than increasing it? So I'm going to share an example of how I do this in my sales enablement role at 360 Learning. But before I do so, let's do one more poll. This one is asking, are you currently facing challenges in engaging subject matter experts? So yes, we struggle to engage subject matter experts to share knowledge. No, subject matter experts are fully on board, or we don't use subject matter experts to help with content creation. So go ahead and take a second to submit your vote on the screen there.
Amazing, thank you, Mira. Yeah, we've got lots of people, just give it a few more seconds and we've got a lot of people answering there. So let's go ahead and share those results and let's have a look there. We have, let's have 48%, almost half the people said, yes, we struggle to engage subject matter experts to share knowledge. Is that common? Is that a common theme, Maria, that you find? I guess it's quite, it makes up half of the attendees here do struggle to engage with those SMEs. What's your findings?
Yeah, I think that's not surprising at all, because it is an investment, and it's also, I think, a cultural shift that has to happen within an organization. When people are not used to being engaged in that way, you have to kind of create that culture, and that's something that we've seen at 360 Learning internally, doing more and more of engaging our own in-house experts. And I think that once people get a taste of it, they're most likely to want to replicate that, because people want to help each other out. Everyone's been in a situation where they've wanted help from other people, whether you're new or you're learning a new skill. And so once you are able to play a role of the in-house expert helping other people learn and grow, it makes you want to do more of it. So I think that the more you do it, the more you see it. But I can definitely understand, people having a hard time getting started. And I'll share some practices of how to do that in this next bit.
Yeah, Lacey is making the point that, the evolution of changing, we spoke about it a few times, changing that mindset to engaging subject matter experts, it takes time. I can see here there's a number of people who said they've already sort of fully onboarded SMEs, as I keep calling them, subject matter experts within the training content creation. There's a number of people here who said you don't use it, you don't engage with subject matter experts at all to help with content creation. So I'd be curious to know if you want to pop into the chat, those of you who are not using subject matter experts, what are the blockers there? What is preventing you from going down that? Is it just a mindset that maybe you're not willing to adopt, or that the company is really blocking you from? Maybe be interested to hear that. So yeah, let's move on to the next slide.
Sounds great. So like I said, I'll share a real life example. So for context, at 360 Learning, my role as sales enablement manager includes onboarding new reps, but also upskilling all reps to ensure that they are at the top of their performance and that they have the possibility to progress in their sales career. And to do this, I leverage collaborative learning and thus, you guessed it, in-house experts. I do this really every step of the way, and I'll show you a really concrete example using a 5-step framework. So on the next slide, also for context, our sales teams are composed of 3 different roles. We have BDRs, business development representatives, who are receiving our leads. We have account executives who are converting them into clients, and we have key account managers who renew and upsell them. It's very important for these 3 roles to work well together so that we're productive and efficient. Recently at 360, we've been experiencing a significant amount of growth within our sales teams. And Marine Charles, who's one of our BDR managers in France, declared a learning need on the topic, how to build a constructive BDR account executive working relationship, which if you click next, we'll probably be able to see on the screen here. Yep, perfect. So this, what you're seeing here is an email notification. This is how we at 360 internally raise our hands to bring light to an area where we think we can be upskilled. So Marine has declared a learning need, and as a result, every 360 learner is notified with this email. They see the learning need declared, they see a quick description, and as you can see at the bottom, they have the ability to upvote this need. We have many learning needs that are raised at 360, and so this upvote function allows us to really understand the volume of people who are invested in this topic, and this helps us make decisions around prioritization. So that's really that first step. and getting started is understanding what are the needs coming from the field. So once you've done that, you need to move on to the second piece of identifying and motivating these experts, right? So when I click on the upvote button, I'm brought to this page that you're seeing now, which has the learning need at the top, which I've cut off. And then you have a forum where people are engaging. As the person who declared the need, Maureen can tag her colleagues and ask them to add additional context to the learning need. Maybe she's had conversations with BDRs and account executives and they've discussed this topic, so she can loop them in and say, hey, can you add some color to this learning need? Can you share a little bit about what your expectations for training around this would be? As a sales enablement manager, I can loop in people who I think could be potential subject matter experts to contribute to the creation of the training. And any 360 learner can come and support the need. And they can also volunteer to lead the creation of the training. So as you can see here, Julie Palaf has raised her hand. She said, happy to help if you need me. So this helps admins see, on the one hand, who are the people interested in receiving the training? And on the flip side, who are the people qualified to respond to the learning need? In this particular case, the people best suited to respond to this need is not myself, is not an L&D manager, but it's the actual BDRs and account executives on the field who have a strong and productive working relationship and who can speak to that. They're much better positioned to speak because they can draw from their own personal experience, again, more so than I could myself or an L&D manager. So really can't stress enough the importance of having these experts involved. Like you said earlier, Dan, it's important for the credibility, for the relevance. It's going to really skyrocket the engagement that you have in your courses. So for this particular learning need, we created a squad of sales reps, including BDRs and account executives. So on the next slide, and now that we have the need declared, now that we have identified our subject matter experts, the next step is turning their knowledge into a program, and fast. Because obviously this is not their full-time job. We don't want to ask them to spend hours and hours and hours creating content. We really want to get them on a quick project management funnel to build the project and ship it as soon as possible. So they're now brought to this project interface that you see here. There's like a funnel at the top, overview, outline, create, review, and share. So right now we're in that create phase. And so you have the subject matter experts exchanging on the forum and talking about, how they're going to approach the training and creating an outline as well. And so they're creating tasks for each of the pieces of content that are going to be created for the training, and they're delegating the tasks amongst themselves. Next, they set a deadline and they're off. Everyone's creating their content on their own. They can choose to have a live kickoff meeting to discuss the training, or they can just do so asynchronously, which helps if you have people working all across the globe, which tends to be the trend today. And so that makes it really easy to collaborate as well. Once the content is created, we move on to the review phase. So here, content creators, in this case, the BDRs and the account executives, can select reviewers to review the content. In a case like this one, this would be myself, probably a sales manager, maybe another BDR or account executive who represents the learning population. And this is an opportunity for us to make sure the content is aligned with our internal practices, that the course is engaging, and the training squad can really add as many reviewers as they want. And through the platform, they can also actually provide review guidelines to make sure that they're getting feedback on the pieces that they want feedback on. And once that review phase is finished, we move on to share. All I have to do is make the training available. Yep, on the very last slide. Announce it to those who had upvoted and engaged with the learning need, and monitor any comments and feedback the course might receive. So at the bottom right here, I've added a little screenshot of the feedback that we receive from our courses. The learners have the ability to respond with, I like it, I learned something, this is outdated, I didn't understand something, and we have a relevance score as well, and a reaction score, which lets us know what's relevant, where are people engaging, helps us understand how to iterate on the course and how to make future courses better. So there you have it. Through collaborative learning, we have been able to respond to a learning need that the team had by leveraging the expertise of those who are most qualified to teach about the topic through an extremely smooth experience and with a pretty fast turnaround.
Wow, I've got to say, Maria, what an incredible concept that you've built here, and fantastic explanation. We've got a lot of comments of people who are actually loving the method that you're using to engage with your subject matter experts, and it seems a very streamlined flow from need to publish, essentially need to creation through to publish. And guys, I just want to say there's a few questions coming in on the chat. If you wouldn't mind making sure, because we're going to address these questions at the end, and when it's in the chat, it gets lost very easily. So if you wouldn't mind reposting your questions in the chat, in the question box, sorry, that would be amazing, because we'll definitely be able to find it and address it at the end. What a fantastic insight from Maria there. What I'm going to do with you guys now is, just as we head over to the next slide, is talk about, great, we know there's a need to create content. How do we use it? How do we use video to train employees, in this case, hybrid employees? So one of the things we spoke about before was how to not only, I guess, encourage peer-to-peer learning, you know, a colleague and peers creating training content off the back of what Maria's just shared, but how can we also enhance our peer-to-peer learning if we've already adopted that strategy with your organization? Using Powtoon, I want to just show you some 3 very valuable formats or types of video that you can use to enhance that peer-to-peer learning. You might want to consider building an animated explainer video, okay? And this is obviously a very classic, very traditional, if you like, way of explaining a problem or explaining a process. It's a very flexible way of storytelling. You have different types of animation with Powtoon. You can use cartoon, you can build an infographic, you can use a whiteboard explainer. It allows you to explain very complex subject matters, if you like, in an easy and engaging way. One of my favorite ways of peer-to-peer learning is what we call screen recordings. Okay, it literally does what it says on the tin. Imagine that you want to, you've got an idea, or there's a need to explain a process. It might be something like it might be for a new employee wanting to know, how do I request time off? How do I request vacation time? Well, what you could do as a colleague is you could just go in, download Powtoon's Capture, for example. Capture is a Google Chrome extension. It allows you to screen record and record your screen and also record your camera and just record a quick video, right? A quick explainer video, and pointing to the website they need to go on, the platform they need to use, the process they need to do to explain how to request that time off. And it's so much easier to show a nice video or a recording rather than just have an employee sit through sort of a boring training manual. Using video engages with the user, right? It helps you to build engagement, maintain engagement, and essentially maximize knowledge retention throughout. And then finally, on the right-hand side here, what about video messaging? Okay, so using video messaging allows the colleague to create a super personalized feel to video creation, okay? Whether it's an employee actually giving a recorded presentation, right? So you've got the presentation on the screen and they've got their nice little face being recorded in the bottom right-hand corner. Or even it might be an upskilling training video. These videos have a real, and we mentioned it before, credibility or authenticity, and it makes it easy for anyone to make as well. So this is what we mean by peer-to-peer learning. I'm going to go on to the next slide, and we're going to launch another poll, okay? I'm really curious to know how you as an audience, how are you currently using video? Hopefully you are currently using video. How are you currently using video for upskilling, for onboarding new employees? I'm going to post this, this poll. There we go. It should be coming up on your screen now. If you just want to take a moment to let us know how often you're using video. Maybe you're not at all. We'll review those answers in a second. And if you're not yet using video, I can see a handful of people haven't yet started using video. Hopefully our webinar today has started to inspire you as to the importance of why you need to use video to engage with your employees. We're going to just end the poll there and have a quick look at the results and see what we can see. About 42% of you are using video all the time. That's incredible. Well done. You've embraced the future. Well, you've embraced the present and the future of business growth, of employee retention by using video. About 30% of you are saying, well, you can use it, but you're finding it's very expensive or time consuming. We'll hopefully give you some examples of maybe using Powtoon. You can reduce the time and the cost of creating that training content. And 29% of you have not yet started using video. So if you want to drop into the chat box again and let me know, why haven't you started using video yet? What is it that's preventing you from using video within your internal training, your communication structure? Let me know in the content and in the chat box, and we'll get to that very, very soon. Let's move on to the next slide. And here we go. Why is it so important to use video with upskilling and engaging with employees? Well, essentially, we know that today's world, I don't know if remote or even hybrid is still the official term of sort of our way of working, but it's the new norm, right? You're working from an office, you're working from home, you may have a team spread globally. It's more important than ever now to engage them using video, because as you know, especially when people are separated, especially during onboarding, if someone's joining an organization and maybe they're based 3,000 miles away from the main office or their manager, keeping people together and aligned on company culture, company value, company direction can be very, very challenging to do. And using video can help restore or bridge that gap. Again, using video to create memorable video presentations and supporting visuals that boost engagement, so important. And again, don't forget to shout out all the hard workers within the organization. This is kind of what we call, again, peer-to-peer learning. Imagine how easy it can be with video for you to give kudos, right, and credit to colleagues, to peers, to managers, to your team, or whatever it might be. Using video to record a personalized message, right? Put your face on the camera and say, I want to tell Maria what a fantastic job you've done, Maria, in onboarding me. Thank you so much. You're a brilliant manager. I love the company so much. I feel valued. Guys, if I'm recording a video like that, feel the passion, feel the excitement, feel the connection that I've made with you as a viewer by using my face to camera recording on screen. You can't replace that with text. You can't send an email round, right, praising an employee. It just doesn't work anymore. So this is one of the reasons why it's so important to be using video. Again, another reason why using video internally is so important, to engage your frontline workers, tapping into internal expertise, existing expertise. Maria alluded to this several times, utilizing, right, the subject matter experts. They may be frontline workers. Who better to talk about the dangers of working in a warehouse than the actual warehouse workers, right? For example, you need to talk about the dangers of using a forklift truck, okay? Are you going to have an L&D professional maybe build that? They don't really understand. They've not been on the warehouse. They don't work on the factory floor. Imagine if you could get, one of the factory workers, for example, one of the frontline workers to build a small piece of content, perhaps using Powtoon, perhaps just using face-to-video to explain about the dangers of working and taking care on a factory floor. Think about how much more credible that piece of content would be. And again, with that peer-to-peer learning content created, it helps to build trust and engagement between teams, between individuals, between managers. Again, the importance of using video in engaging your frontline workers might be the fact that you might have technicians in your team, engineers working all over the country, all over the globe. How will you be able to get important information, new updates, important company updates to? How are you going to reach them? Send them an email? They don't have time to read an email. They're not going to be able to read an email. So you can start thinking about engaging them with video on preferred platforms, whether it's Slack, whether it's Teams, whether it's SMS. You can start being creative with your distribution methods using Powtoon and engaging with your workforce. Upskilling and reskilling, closing the skills gap. One of the great things about peer-to-peer learning is, as Maria beautifully demonstrated before, is they identified a need or a gap, right, in skills and knowledge. They identified it and they addressed it super quick using video and as I say, embracing those SMEs, those subject matter experts. A great example of using video for upskilling is the ability to create bite-sized video explainers. Okay, this is really, really important. And guys, I've got an example for you. There's a university in the UK called University of Sheffield, the University of Sheffield Medical School, right? They have a document called Health and Safety in the Workplace. Health and safety in a medical school, very, very important. It's a 67-page document. It takes about I don't know if anyone knows how long it takes to read and retain the knowledge that you get from a 67-page document. It takes almost 2 hours, okay? What they did is they chopped it up into bite-sized videos. Very basic, right? Videos are about 3 to 4 minutes each. You know how long it takes someone to watch all those videos? 50 minutes. So from 22 hours, down to 50 minutes, they've saved over 1 hour and 10 minutes of their day by restructuring those 67-page documents into bite-sized videos of 10 bite-sized videos of 4 minutes each. So great example there of why it's so important. So we've been speaking a little bit about Powtoon and a little bit of how to engage your workforce with visuals. I'm going to give you a few examples here of Powtoon, of clients of Powtoon, and how they've used Powtoon to engage with their workforce. And one of the examples I'm going to give you here is a company you probably all know very well called Facebook. So Facebook used Powtoon to onboard their employees and throughout the entire employee journey. And one of the things they do is invite all employees onto a 2-week induction called Talent Camp. And this is what they send all those employees prior to that.
Hi, I'm Miranda Kalinowski and I run Global Recruiting at Facebook. We're really excited to be welcoming you to Facebook in the coming days. You'll be joining us for Talent Camp, which is about a week long of training, trying to get you entrenched with the way we do things here at Facebook. We've got so much to do, making the world more open and connected, and we're just 1% done. So my Facebook story is my mother and father divorced when I was young, and my father went on to have other children that I had never met. And literally through Facebook and the connections I made there, I tracked them down and found for myself another 3 brothers and a sister who I'm incredibly close with today, all because of Facebook. The work that we do here at Facebook is pretty supercharged by our use of the platform, Facebook. We tend to get to know people a lot quicker than people do at other companies because we see what people do on the weekends, we see what relationships they have, what interests them, and it just really accelerates our relationships with them. Drinking from the fire hose definitely sums up what I feel was my Talent Camp experience. There's a lot that you're exposed to, many people and connections that you'll make, and those relationships that you forge in your very first days at Facebook do stay with you for years to come. So my advice would be to really treasure that time, learn as much as you can, know that you won't remember everything, and have fun with it.
And I'm going to share with you one more from Foot Locker about hiring.
With so many roles and responsibilities, you need to put the right team members in the right roles. Building strong hiring skills is critical to both your success and to our company's success. Don't just pick a person, pick the right person. Base your hiring decisions on candidates who will exceed our customers' expectations. From interviewing to onboarding, you are empowered to be the owner of your business. You own the entire candidate experience and selection process. It's up to you to always make an impression. Hiring one-on-one training will give you the tools to confidently seek out candidates and successfully bring on talented new team members.
Okay, and I think we'll stop there just so I think it gives you guys some context. And one of the things I'd like to ask you is, having watched those videos, and if you want to drop into the chat, what is it about those videos that you felt were so effective? What is the reason, or what do you think the impact was on Facebook, on Foot Locker? Imagine you're a new employee, just excited to join Facebook, but a little bit maybe hesitant, a little bit cautious about joining a new organization. How are you going to fit in? Having watched that first video, drop into the chat box if you can the reasons or even the questions box. What is it you felt emotionally maybe when watching that video? We've got Lacey saying we love Powtoon. We've got lots of questions, answers coming in. Sorry, Victoria says, I like the personal perspective of the message to a new employee. You see, we spoke about this before, making content personal. It's a training video, right? It's a piece of training material in internal communication, but it's very personal, right? Because Miranda Kalinowski there, that global head of recruitment at Facebook, was very personal. She was talking about her experience using Facebook, joining up with so many long lost brothers and sisters. So there was a real powerful, engaging story behind a senior member of the Facebook executive there. You wouldn't be able to get that feeling, that connection through PowerPoint, through text or anything like that. And Lacey made the point that she thinks the images that pop up while someone's talking helps connect with the point. That's a great example that Lacey brings up using Powtoon. You can upload video and then have some images, have some overlays just to emphasize, basic overlays, just to emphasize that point further and really help sort of to drive that engagement. Eileen said the video, the Facebook video felt like it was directed solely at you, the viewer, when of course, in fact, it was viewed by thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of employees, but it felt like a very personal welcome. So that's a great point you make, Eileen. Thank you so much. And think about it, guys. If you were to employ videos like this and create content like this, what impacts would it have on your organization? Okay, answer in the chat, or even just start thinking about it rhetorically. Just start thinking about what would the impact be if you just brought on a new employee? If you made a video like this, how would they feel? How would it make them feel more connected? Andrew says it would make them feel more engaged with the organization. Absolutely, great point there as well. And it could possibly be something that you benefit from with the organization. Let's move on to the next slide. And we've got a final poll question coming up, which I'm just going to put on here. If you would like to know more information about either Powtoon or 360 Learning, please let us know. Just choose the answer you want, and obviously we've got your registration deals. We'll reach out to you, and someone can speak to you in more detail about learning more about Powtoon, or as I say, 360 Learning. Let us know. We'll give it a few more minutes there. Just give it another few seconds, actually, rather than a few minutes. And remember, we're now going to head on to, where are we? Yes, questions and answers, my favorite part, engaging with you guys, answering your questions. I'm going to end that poll here, by the way. Thank you so much for all the questions that have come in so far. I think there's some more questions in the chat as well. Let's have a look. Okay, we've got Ambrose. I'm going to pose a question to you, Maria, if that's okay. We've got a question here from Ambrose. What are the reviewers looking for in the content? So what are the reviewers looking for in the content? So we're talking about, I think, referring to your example that you showed a little earlier.
Yeah, of course. Happy to answer that question, Ambrose. Before I do, I just want to comment on your presentation, Dan, because I could not agree more with the power of video. I've probably launched around 150 or so trainings since I've started out 360 Learning, and I don't think a single one has not had a video. It's so powerful and so engaging. And like folks said in the chat, so much more personable. As an example, in the sales team, we regularly have product update trainings, and we systematically have the product managers record themselves and say, "Hi, I'm Amy, the product manager of X product, and I'll be walking you through what this solution looks like." And the reps are always very positive in their feedback in those activities because it feels like it's a person talking to them. So yeah, really powerful tool that we use a lot. So to answer your question, Ambrose, about the reviewers, it's a great question because it can really have many different answers. And that's why we have these reviewer guidelines where you can provide a little bit of guidance as to what you would like your reviewer to provide feedback on. So a couple examples could be having someone review the course to make sure it's in line with the processes and practices internally. It could be a review of the general content. Do you find that it's varied enough, engaging enough? Is it all just a bunch of text on paper, or are you using videos and different engaging types of content, questions, etc.? It could be, you know, if I'm shipping a training for my French sales team and then I want to send it to the US team, it could be someone reviewing the translation and making sure that it's using the right language in terms of what those teams use internally. So it really could be a lot of different things, and it's up to me as the content creator to say, "Hey, X person, for you, I'd like for you to review this particular thing about my course." So yeah, that's some examples.
Fantastic, great answer. We've got Max asking a really relevant question I think a lot of people would like to know. How does one get started with using video for frontline workers, and what format is best? I think we possibly both have maybe different answers for that. But if you want to go first, Maria, what's the best way to get started using video for workers?
Yeah, great question. I think the first step is really to provide the tools that you need for those videos. That's really important. You have to empower the people who are making those videos with the right tools. It has to be something that's easy to use. You can't expect folks to spend hours of their day learning how to use a new tool to create these videos. It has to be something that's accessible, that's easy to use, and that's going to allow for them to easily diffuse the content as well. And I think another important element as well is providing a little bit of guidance in terms of L&D, right? It's like, what are the best practices for creating a training video? Is there a certain duration? Is there a certain framework that you're expected to use? So I think the tool on the one hand and the how-to in terms of learning on the other hand.
Absolutely. Great question. Great answer there, Maria. There's another question here that I'm going to pose from Rose. Again, I guess we might have different answers here, Maria, but what do you think is the recommended length of a video to keep the audience engaged?
So I would actually say it depends on the type of video. I think, to be honest, people are most likely going to stay engaged for longer with a Powtoon video that has the pop-ups and the music and all these things happening. Whereas if it's a video of someone speaking for a long time, they might drop off a little sooner. In terms of the courses that I ship internally, we always try to keep them ideally under 2 minutes, but at most 5 minutes. I think any longer than that, folks are going to drop off. What we like to do at 360 is, if you do have a long video, cut it up into pieces and separate it by more content, maybe comprehension questions. So break it up in a way where they're stopping, doing something different, and then re-engaging in the video.
Absolutely. And I think that there's no one answer, I think, for that question, how long do we recommend the length of the video? You're quite right, Marie. It does obviously depend on the content and also the audience. You know, what's the the general audience that you're going to be creating for? Okay, what kind of what elements of the employee base? Are they people who are going to be engaged for shorter periods of time? Are they more susceptible to videos? One thing I would say, and in fact you did allude to it just then, is if you do feel it's too long, then do simply break it up into bite-sized videos. The great thing about bite-sized videos, and bite-sized can be 30 seconds, can be a minute, can be 3 minutes, is they can be watched at the convenience, at the leisure of the viewer, right? It might be on their way to work, on the train, on the bus, on the way back. They'll be able to consume this video in much smaller segments. So I recommend that if you have any fear that even a 3-minute video might be perceived as too long, so break it down into two 90-second videos. There is no one answer for it, but Alicia here is saying that she considers just to keep it under 2 minutes or shorter, depending on the message. Danielle saying just-in-time learning can be really effective. Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. I've got another question that Max asked again. Max is asking, I think this might be a question for me, Max. Does Powtoon offer templates for these specific types of videos that I mentioned? Absolutely, guys. If you do want to head over to Powtoon, check out our templates. We have templates covering a wide variety of use cases, of verticals, of messaging. You can, of course, start from scratch, but everything we've spoken about today, and essentially what you saw, the videos that I showed you with Powtoon, started from a template. You'll be able to spot it if you go to our template gallery. Rose is saying, great, thank you. I assume that was about the length of video. No problem at all. Freddie's asked a very good question, Maria. I'll pose this one to you. How can one get started with an upskilling program?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's really important to think about that before you dive into it. I would say there's two important pieces. The first one is understanding where the upskilling needs to happen. And I think there's two main ways to do that, quantitative and qualitative data. I think that you have to do a thorough needs analysis of the field and allow people to raise their voice, speak up, talk about where they're feeling gaps, where they're feeling challenged, where they might feel that they don't have enough knowledge, expertise, or skills. So doing a needs analysis that's more field-based, and then as much as possible, leaning on data. So looking at whatever numbers are relevant in your company to understand where the gaps might be. So again, to bring it back to the world of sales, if we're looking at our different win rates versus our competitors, if we're consistently losing to this one competitor, we might want to do a little bit of upskilling there. So that's the first thing I would say, is doing that needs analysis and understanding where you need the upskilling to happen, what's the biggest priority for the company and for your team. And on the flip side, that identification of in-house experts who are the folks most qualified internally to train other people on this topic, and making the connection between the two.
That's a great answer. I love how you said start off. So just to remind everyone of the question Freddie asked was, how can you get started with an upskilling program? And Maria started off by saying, well, first of all, you need to do a needs analysis, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what your employees don't know. So ask them, find out what their gaps in knowledge are. And then, as Maria quite rightly said, identify those subject matter experts in-house who can fill those gaps, and of course, fill those gaps using video. Great answer there. Thank you, Maria. I've got another good question. John's asking, what examples are there of upskilling? Because I think you mentioned this a little while ago. What examples are there of upskilling on exit interviews? It's not something we've ever implemented at our organization. So upskilling on exit interviews, what do you mean by that?
Sure. So when I used the term exit, I wasn't referring necessarily to exit interviews, but just the exit part of the employee journey. And what I mean is retaining knowledge before it walks out the door. Whether you have a high rate of turnover due to the Great Resignation, or whether you have an employee base that it's moving to retirement, you want to be able to capture knowledge before it walks out the door. So that means leveraging the subject matter experts for these upskilling trainings before they get to that exit part of their employee journey.
Brilliant. Thank you. A great answer there again. Wow, you really know your stuff, Maria. This is fantastic. And guys, again, I'll pop that poll up there just so it's, I'll pop it back up there just so people can see. If you want to learn more about Powtoon and 360 Learning, let us know. I've got Sharon asking a question I think is directed at myself. Is this demo, I assume you mean the presentation, using the Powtoon platform? I'm not really sure about what your product includes. I'm new to all this. Sharon, yes, actually, this presentation, I think I'm still sharing my screen, was just basically built inside Powtoon. You can see here I'm using the Powtoon player page here. And there we go. So yeah, absolutely. It's a presentation that's built in Powtoon, and I'm just showing it in slideshow mode. Absolutely. I've got another question for you. Here, Maria. This is from Lacey. Lacey says, in her opinion, sometimes videos over 5 minutes are okay if nothing else is expected of the learner. Is that something you would agree with?
I'm not quite sure what Lacey means by nothing else is expected of the learner. But I'll give you one example of a place where in my role, this is okay. Every quarter, we reskill our sales reps on their sales pitch. So we update it every quarter, depending on things that we're seeing in the market, things that are turning internally, and we want to retrain them on that pitch every quarter. Our pitch is a little bit longer than 5 minutes. And so in that instance, you do have a training that's a video that's longer than 5 minutes. And the only requirement in that training is to watch the pitch, go through the deck, read the script, and then submit a video of yourself doing that pitch back to your manager. So they're watching a video and they're submitting a video to have an evaluation that's asynchronous of their pitch. So in this case, if that answers your question, Lacey, yes, absolutely. In some instances, it's necessary to have videos that are longer than 5 minutes. Brilliant.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, on that note, I would like to say to everyone, thank you so much for your time today. Of course, thank you to Maria, Head of Sales Enablement at 360 Learning. Maria, I don't know about you, but it's been, to be honest with you, it's even though, you know, we spoke a few times before this, I've learned so much from you just by listening to you and looking at your slides in great detail. I hope everyone else has got out of much, you know, got out of this as much as I certainly have as well. So Maria, thank you so much. And to the whole 360 Learning team for all the great work you're doing there. Over at 360. Thank you everyone for all the time that you've given today, for your attendance as well. You will get a copy of this recording within about, as I say, 24 to 48 hours. Maria, I want to say thank you so much to you. Any closing comments you want to make there?
No, just right back at you, Dan. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I have also learned quite a bit. Very impressed by the presentation that your team has put together for today. And a big thank you to the audience for your great questions and your engagement. It makes a huge difference in a webinar to have that level of audience engagement. So thank you so much. And for anyone who's doing enablement activities in-house, I'm always more than happy to chat and share best practices. So please feel free to reach out.
Great stuff. Just as we're closing here, Rose says, this has been great. Thank you so much. Danielle, thank you both for an interesting session. You're very welcome, Danielle. I hope you got a lot out of it. Victoria, thank you both for a great session. Ambrose says, great presentation. Thank you. Maria, very well articulated presentation. Maria, is what Ambrose is saying to you.
Thank you, Ambrose.
Betsy, we love Amber. We love you all. Betsy appreciates us to send the recording on. We will do. Evelyn, thank you so much. Rose, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. No matter, as I say, where you are in the world, what time it is, I hope you, good morning, good evening, good night, stay safe, and of course, happy Powtooning. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dan. See you next time. Bye, everyone.